Jon Stewart. From truth-spitting Firebrand to Dogma-laden propaganda host. How far the mighty have fallen. I was quite a fan of the man back in the day when Jon Stewart, a comedian, seemed to have more journalistic integrity and commitment to the news media than the actual news media did. But that was yesterday, and today we have the problem with white people. With Jon Stewart. This point has been ground more thoroughly into paste than horse glue, but one more time I will ask, what do you think would happen to a YouTube video titled The Problem with Black People? And I commit to this act of futility because Jon's entire point here is, of course, that the US of A is a racist country. And hey, to be fair, it is difficult to argue the opposite, considering his video title. And the other video titles as well. The United States is most certainly a racist country in that there is one race in particular that can be attacked and lambasted in any way whatsoever, and in fact, as we will see in a bit, it is entirely fine to call for their murder as well. Indeed, if you do so, you'll end up on Jon Stewart's show. So yes, Jon Stewart is correct in that the US of A is racist. He's just struggling a bit with the finer points of things. But equine carcass aside, now that Jon has become a YouTube personality, I guess it's time for a good old-fashioned response video. And we start, of course, with our Lord and Savior, St. Floyd.
Floyd's death is sparking a national reckoning.
The death of George Floyd, it sparks this global movement, this racial reckoning.
We here in America certainly had our own racial reckoning in the wake of George Floyd's death.
A growing number of American companies facing a racial reckoning.
As America confronts a racial reckoning.
A racial reckoning.
It also comes at a time of racial reckoning for the country.
Oh. So you guys are finally ready to talk about racial reckoning.
Ah, yes. Reparations. As you can tell by Jon's response there, this is a completely verboten topic in America rarely discussed. In comparison to football or baseball, that is. But since paying billions of dollars for a crime committed a few hundred years ago is for some mysterious reason apparently off the table, what is being done?
Cream of Wheat is removing the black chef from its packaging.
Chris Harrison, host of The Bachelor, has announced he is stepping away.
Every NFL stadium, you're going to see phrases like end racism.
Tonight we know the Dixie Chicks are dropping the Dixie.
The village of Hempstead renamed Main Street Black Lives Matter Way.
We will now kneel for our moment of silence.
Worst production of Lion King ever.
No, I stand with Jon on this one. Democrats and woke corporations are most definitively muy cringe and have achieved absolutely nothing. But I would like to point out that the people cheering at and demanding this performative fecklessness are, well, your allies, Jon. Republicans aren't asking for this. This is BLM all the way. You know, the people whose violence you excused. What's a little blood spilled in the name of the revolution, right? But I suppose your involvement with BLM has gotten very inconvenient as of late. They seem to have dropped off everyone's radar. Strange. Perhaps it has something to do with the organization seemingly having embezzled some $60 million, which it appears as if it may have been used to purchase very large properties. Well, they need something to do in between defending criminals based purely on their skin color, I do suppose. But why are we having this conversation now? Again. For the 276th time. This is not a rare conversation to be having in America. In fact, might as well let Jon Stewart make that point for me.
These are tough conversations, and I would probably have more hope in its impact on our culture if those same exact sentiments hadn't already been conveyed to white people over and over and over, like 1 year earlier on The Breakfast Club.
They never, never, never addressed the primary problems of black folk. Our primary problem was not social integration or civil rights. The primary problem is you never corrected the legacies and burdens of slavery.
Or by Viola Davis at an award show in 2015.
The only thing that separates women of color from anyone else is opportunity.
Or in the 90s, when Sister Souljah explained this directly to Bill Clinton and Larry King.
The thing that kills African people in America is not what white people say, but what they do, their policies, their actions.
See, white people are pretending that this problem is new, and we're just hearing about it now.
So this is the crux of the argument here, that white people have never done anything to help black people, and that the conversation has never even been had. Even though we have now heard from a multi-millionaire celebrity actress at an incredibly prestigious award show, who just simply never got a chance, you see, and a girl from the 90s that would later go on to say, why don't we just have a week where we kill white people? An inspirational quote. This conversation is not new, and it'll happen again and again and again and goddamn again, as history proves, even though America has already had a pretty definitive argument over this, with a little kerfuffle over the slavery question. You would have thought that would have settled things quite well, considering there are now multi-millionaire celebrity black actors receiving prestigious awards on live television, but apparently not. However, let's ignore reality for a moment and simply accept the words of another of Jon's sources on the racism of America.
Racism is so deeply embedded into the fabric of the society.
Thank you, Angela.
That was Angela Davis. And this is Angela Davis standing next to Fidel Castro. And this is Angela Davis in East Germany, where she held a speech praising the Soviet Union and East Germany and its progressive ideals of how to execute vast numbers of their own civilian population, I suppose. Angela Davis was a member of the Communist Party of the United States of America and is an open and outward communist socialist. What do you think she has to gain by calling America a racist country? But never mind that, let's simply just take her words at face value, right? There is no agenda here from a literal communist trying to undermine the state of America by inciting racial hatred. None of that exists, all right? So, right, America is a racist country. So, Jon, what are the problems and what are the solutions?
For all that, the wealth gap, worse now. Home ownership, worse now. Segregation, worse now. On average, a white high school graduate is wealthier than a black college graduate. Forget about them telling you even the stark facts don't seem to matter.
Oh, well, that's horrible, Jon, and since we know for sure that the only possible explanation for any of this is systematic racism, that is, active racial discrimination against black people due to the color of their skin done on a systematic state and federal level, there must be a solution to this, right? Like we could make racism illegal. Oh, right. We could institute systems that benefit. Oh, right. Maybe we could offer up special protections, like making crimes against a certain group extra illegal. Ah, damn it. Okay, at least we can make sure that segregation is no longer a fudge. Man, it seems as if America has arrived at a point where they're just giving additional rights and protection to a group of people because of their skin color to solve the problem of treating people differently because of their skin color. What a weird circle we have managed to wander ourselves into. But just for shits and giggles, perhaps, maybe, just potentially, kinda, there could be some sort of alternative explanation. Jon mentioned something a bit earlier that I found was rather fascinating.
Frederick Douglass told white people, the rich inheritance of justice, liberty, prosperity, and independence bequeathed by your fathers is shared by you, not by me.
Wealth bequeathed unto children by their fathers. That's a weird and radical idea. Wait, hold on. I think I saw something else about this as well.
Intelligent Americans know it is the collapse of the traditional family that is wreaking havoc in the African American community.
72% of black babies are born to single mothers.
If they would start talking about the responsibilities of fatherhood.
Dependency on welfare was breaking up black families.
The breakdown of the black family and an extraordinarily dysfunctional, toxic inner city culture.
Inner city? Excuse me, the politically correct phrase is black ghetto. Good day.
Well, Jon dismisses that as a simple joke, so I'm sure he's correct. After all, what do these white people know about anything? To think that a stable household with a dual income is any kind of a benefit in the long run is just silly. Oh. Well, that's an unfortunate statistic, I suppose. But I'm sure the problem isn't that Okay. Maybe Frederick Douglass and those old white people are onto something. Jon goes on for quite some time, missing the point harder than the Spaniard who embarked on a long boat voyage to find India. But much like that individual as well, Jon arrives at his own interesting conclusions, including, again, reparations. But all the way at the end here, where we have talked so much about how white people, just has to listen more to black Americans, we end with this clip.
My feeling is white people have a very, very serious problem, and they should start thinking about what they can do about it. Take me out of it.
First and foremost, I feel the irresistible urge to point out that the old racist black lady pronounces white in the precise same way as Richard Spencer does. I think there's a lesson here to be learned about modern-day political organizations that focus their message around race, but oh well, details. I could also drag forth the battered and bruised carcass of that vaguely equine-looking thing lying over in the distance, but it truly has become rather pointless, hasn't it? So why don't we, whites, simply just, take our advice and leave black people entirely out of it? How about we just all live in the same society, under the same rules, with the same duties, the same privileges, and the same benefits as everyone else? Now, granted, this does mean that certain groups are going to have to lose some of their special rights and privileges, but hey, I'm sure we're all on board with the equality train at this point. And if I may be serious here just for a second, I've been rather facetious today. And for good reason, I do believe, as Jon Stewart is now the very thing that he argued against so many years ago. He is becoming the person who is purely partisan, the person that has gone so far to one side of the political spectrum that he has completely lost sight of the opposition's arguments to the point where he is not even able to identify them anymore. To the point, in fact, that today his heroes are literal communists who have shook hands with Fidel Castro and praised the Soviet Union, and people who think that maybe we should just kill more white people to make up for black people shooting one another. And that is not to say that America has no problems whatsoever. Of course it does. But to constantly focus every issue on race, on skin color, again and again, and on the urging of socialists who have it as their stated goal to undermine the very fabric of American society. It is thoroughly absurd and self-destructive. So I would like, here at the end, to have my final argument against Jon Stewart be made by Jon Stewart. Take it away.
Stop. Stop hurting America. Okay, now.